Imagine opening a jar of honey, not one you bought last week, but one that has been sitting there for years, maybe even decades. You twist the lid, take a look, and somehow, it's still perfectly fine. No mold, no bad smell, no signs of decay. Just smooth, golden honey, exactly as it was. And that raises a question that sounds almost impossible. How can a natural food never spoil? What is so special about honey that time itself seems to ignore it? Why can't bacteria survive inside it? And if honey really doesn't go bad, then why does the one you buy from the store come with an expiry date? Let's find out, right here on Story of Simple Things. At first glance, honey looks simple, just a thick, sweet liquid. But inside, it's a carefully balanced mixture of sugars like glucose and fructose, very little water, natural acids, and special enzymes added by bees. And it's this exact combination that makes honey almost impossible to spoil. Most foods spoil because of microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. They land on food, grow, and break it down. But honey creates an environment where they simply can't survive. First, honey contains extremely low water. Microorganisms need water to grow, but honey has so little that it actually pulls moisture out of bacteria. This process, called osmosis, dehydrates and kills them before they can multiply. But low water isn't the only reason. Honey is also naturally acidic, with a pH level that makes survival difficult for most microbes. And there's something even more interesting. Bees add an enzyme called glucose oxidase. When honey comes into contact with moisture, this enzyme slowly produces hydrogen peroxide, a natural antibacterial substance. So even if something tries to grow in honey, it gets destroyed from the inside. Think about fruits, bread, or cooked food. They contain water, are neutral in pH, and don't have built-in defenses, which is why they spoil quickly. But honey is the opposite. It has low moisture, high sugar concentration, natural acidity, and antibacterial compounds. It's like an environment where bacteria simply cannot live. In fact, archaeologists once discovered jars of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that were over 3,000 years old. When they opened them, the honey was still perfectly edible, no spoilage, no decay. A food that survived thousands of years without refrigeration. Here's where things get a little confusing. If honey doesn't spoil, then why does store-bought honey have an expiry date? The answer is simple. Most commercial honey is processed. During filtering, heating, and packaging, small changes can happen. Sometimes tiny amounts of moisture are introduced, or the natural structure is slightly altered. And once moisture increases, the risk of fermentation slowly rises. Also, in many countries, companies are required to add a best before date. This doesn't always mean the product will spoil, it simply means the company guarantees its best quality until that time. Here's the interesting part. Pure honey doesn't spoil, but it can change. Over time, it may crystallize and become thick, grainy, or solid, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's still safe to eat. Just warm it gently, and it returns to liquid form. However, if honey is contaminated with water or impurities, then it can ferment, so purity and proper storage are key. This isn't an accident. Honey is made by bees as a long-term food source. They store it in honeycombs to survive winter, so it needs to last for months or even years. And nature has designed it perfectly for that purpose, a food that protects and preserves itself. Next time you look at a jar of honey, remember this: you're not just looking at something sweet, you're looking at one of the most stable natural foods on Earth. Honey doesn't just last long, it's one of the only foods that can outlast you. Thanks for watching. What simple thing should we explore next? Let us know in the comments below. Because sometimes, the simplest things are the most extraordinary.